Hey guys, welcome. It is BibleScribe. Thank you for joining me once again. I wanted to take a moment to review with you guys something called the final experiment. Now, this is in relationship to the flat earth cosmology and the debate, the ongoing debate between globe earthers and flat earthers. This experiment, this event had been planned for a while, and we'll go into it deeper as far as what exactly it was. But this was said by both sides of the debate to be the end-all be-all, the one thing that would prove who was right about the shape of the earth. But has it really done that? Let's take a look at what happened, what it is, the responses of the people who went, and then talk about what it really means for either flat earthers or globe earthers in the end. So first, let's take a look at the final experiment and what it was. They actually made a website for this. And the person who made the website is probably the person who started this whole event, this whole thing. It's a man named Will Duffy, and he is a pastor in Denver, Colorado. Let me show on the screen the website, and we'll start looking at some of the information here. So this is the-final-experiment.com. That's the website address. And you can see here that it has a countdown. Well, the countdown is over because this occurred this December of 2024. So let's look here very quickly on the frequently asked questions page. It will tell us more about what this was. It has questions. What is the final experiment? And this website, of course, by this pastor, Will Duffy, who started this whole thing, said that the final experiment is a way to settle the shape of the Earth debate. Both the flat Earth side and the globe Earth side agree that whether or not there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica will confirm if we live on a flat plane or on a globe. A 24-hour sun cannot work on a flat plane in the south, and the sun cannot set on a globe during the southern summer. So the way that this is set up here, that this experiment was to prove once and for all the shape of the Earth based on one criteria, and that criteria being that there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Of course, on the flat plane model, that would be difficult to explain. Okay, so because Antarctica in the flat model is seen as the edge of the Earth, a land that actually encircles the known land masses and oceans that we know of, that having a sun to go around a person without setting in Antarctica would not seem to work based on normal observation on a flat plane model, specifically the disk model that is currently used by most flat earthers. Will Duffy assumed that this would settle the debate, and there were many flat earthers that also agreed that this would settle the debate. And the globe earthers definitely thought, this will settle the debate once and for all. If there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, most were saying it must be a globe. So I'll just cut to the chase. We won't go through all these points. But what the final experiment was Will Duffy challenged a group of YouTubers online, both some flat earth YouTubers and some globe earth YouTubers, to go to Antarctica with him, that he would host a trip to Antarctica for all of these YouTubers who were obviously in hot debate online, so they could all see the 24-hour sun, if it was or if it wasn't there in Antarctica. Of the notable people that went from the flat earth side, and I'm going to focus a little more heavily on the flat earth side because I have held that position. So the flat earth people that went on this trip, as I understand it, was Jeranism, and his YouTube channel is on the screen for you there. The other one that went is Witsit Gets It. I think his name is Austin Witsit, and he has a huge channel all dedicated to flat earth videos and cosmology. And the third YouTuber that went along was Kingdom in Context. So that was the group of flat earthers that went. Now there was also, if we go back to the final experiment homepage, you see it says there were 12 Globe Earth people that went along. Some of those included Dave McKeegan, FTFE, McToons, Wolfie 6020, Creaky, Globy McGlobeface, Where's Wally, Cyman Dan, Professor Dave Explains. I think all of these went. I may or may not be correct on every single one. Bob the Science Guy, and Plainer Walk. I believe that is the group that went from the Globe side. But so that was the whole thing. The whole deal was to get them all together, to go on this trip together so that no one could deny what they saw. Of course, having multiple witnesses of the same event. So they fly down to Antarctica. This website actually does a great job. It shows a map here of their locations as they tracked it. So they actually tracked their locations as they went. They had it on their phones. So the GPS tracking tracked where they went as they flew down there, landed, and took some, I believe, excursions by truck, if I'm not mistaken. So this does show that their GPS locations were tracked in Antarctica. So that, seems to, again, verify. There was a lot of verification done during this trip. You can see this is their flight paths, really, from, I believe it's Punta Arenas down to Antarctica. And so you can see there their flight path from the tip of South America down into Antarctica to where they landed. So that was the trip that was taken. And it started on December 14th, 2024, is when they flew down, if I'm not mistaken. And so the videos that they started bringing out started being streamed live. They had Starlink satellite internet connections. And so they used that connection to stream live some of the video that they were taking. From what I saw, and I watched a few of the live streams. I watched a lot of just the general video they were putting out during this time period from multiple accounts, both Globe Earther accounts and the Flat Earther accounts. I will say that there was enough video to where I was convinced that they were there. I was convinced they made the trip. I was convinced that they were all taking video of the same things, same place, same time, together. And you're going to see some of that in just a second. I will show some of that. But I will just say that the verification was pretty tight. They did everything they could to record as much of this as they could. It's at any rate, it would be difficult to convince anybody online of anything these days. Short of running video 24/7, which they obviously don't have the means to do. I don't have the means to do that. I don't know anyone that would. You'd have to have tons of memory storage and multiple cameras so that you could switch them, having some overlap, so you could prove that you were running cameras 24 hours a day for the entire trip. So to do that kind of a verification of video would be very difficult. And, these guys did their best, each one of them in their own way with their own equipment, to bring verifiable evidence back with them and to live stream some of that. And so I think in general, they all did a great job of documenting what was going on. I didn't see anything that was a major red flag at all about the trip or the location or their documentation process in general. Now, there's a couple things that have been going around online we'll talk about towards the end, about things that seem maybe anomalous or not. And we'll talk a little bit about that more further on in the video. But for just the experiment itself, that's what it was. And, there was a lot of hype and excitement leading up to this from both communities, the Globers and the Flat Earthers. A lot of people waiting. I think that it had been months in the making. So people were really anticipating this. It happened, and we have a lot of video, we have a lot of information, and we have a lot of eyewitness testimony now from them on their experience. So let's go further into some of that. So let's take a look at a few of the videos that came out that show what they saw. And remember, of course, they were intentionally going to see the sun, the midnight sun, or the 24-hour sun. It is said to only happen at a certain time of the year in Antarctica. And so they all wanted to be there at this specific time so they could see this phenomenon, the sun appearing and circling the sky without going below the horizon. And they all, of course, wanted to document that. So here's the first video. Now, this is from a globe earther. I wanted to at least give that side. This is McToon. His channel is called McToon Live. Apparently, his channel is dedicated to debunking flat Earth. But this was his video of the midnight sun. He did not publish that I could see. I did not see a video from him that was a time lapse of the sun in the sky 360 degrees. And that's really what most of these guys wanted to achieve to prove this phenomenon. Was we wanted in general, we wanted to see the sun in the sky, a 24-hour time lapse where it does not go below the horizon and stays in frame the entire time. So to do that, you have to have a camera that will track the sun and turn itself, some kind of motor activated turning mechanism where it will follow the sun for 24 hours solid or more, hopefully more, so you see a little bit of overlap so you can prove that it was fully 24 hours. But it's a big setup. That's not an easy setup to just come up with. So there was a lot involved in getting that. And McToon here does not actually produce, that I saw, a time lapse of the sun for the solid 24 hours. But here's a little clip of what he shows when he does his little bit on the sun.
1,500 in the audience. Wow. Okay, so it's not yet solar midnight. And so until it's solar midnight, I'm not going to call it. And I don't know, you might even argue it needs to be 24 hours of the sun circling. Though none of us here are. I mean, it's there. It's there. I'll show you where it is. We are, it's at 2:30. Right now it's 2:06. So here you go. I have no idea if you can see it. It's so bright. There it is. Okay. I'm in front of it now. So there, you can see right here, illuminating my hair. There's the sun. Boom. Over here. Now I can, let's see. It's useless. I can't see the screen when I do that. So anyway, this mountain, we're away from the camp because that mountain is too high. And I know it's too high. You know how I know it's too high? Because when I got here, I pulled out the theodolite app and I measured the angle to the sun, or sorry, to the top of the mountain. And it's more than 13 degrees. It's 13.8 or 13.9 degrees. And the sun is half a degree. So even if it's the bottom of the sun at 13, it still would not make it. So there.
All right. So that's really the clip. He's just talking about and showing you the sun in the middle of the night. As he said, it was 2:30. I believe he meant a.m. So that was really his a bit of evidence there, showing you the sun in the sky in the middle of the night. He said, again, he admitted it was not solar midnight at that time, but it was in the middle of the night. And he verbally vouches that they all were experiencing the sun the entire time they were there. So let's go to Dave McKeegan's site, because he gives us a full time lapse of the sun in the sky. Now, I'm assuming he had a motorized camera that was tracking the sun and staying on target. Perhaps he was running out every 30 minutes to move the camera so he could produce the time lapse. I actually do not know for sure how he achieved the 360 degree rotation of the camera. So I don't know whether he had a camera running full for 24 hours with a motorized tracking system to track the sun, or he was simply going out, aiming the camera directly at the sun and then, snapping a shot or taking some video, coming out 30 minutes later, doing the same thing. On a regular interval, you can record all that and then you can edit it back together and produce a time lapse. I do not know which of those two procedures he used, but based on the video, it seems like he used a motion tracking camera to actually record the sun for 24 solid hours and then some, so that it does overlap. So I'll just kind of show you that real quick. It's a pretty quick video, so here you go. And you can see the sun kind of going lower in the sky, and then as it turns, to the other side, it goes higher in the sky. This would be, according to the globe earthers, occurring because of the tilt of the Earth as it spins. The angle, the distance, and everything to the sun changes because the Earth is spinning, and that gives you this traversal of the sun from low to high, depending on which direction you're looking. Okay, so you saw there the full thing. Now let me pull that same video up in a video program. So I've actually got a copy of it, and we can watch through it and spin through it real clearly. And so you can see how this works. We'll just spin through it a little faster than normal so you can kind of see. Now, based on the landscape here, you see this in front of us in the snow. There is this circular patch with a standing mounted camera in it. And so that's the end of the video. And if we go back to the beginning of the video, the sun is at the same place. In fact, it's just a little bit to the right of that formation when it starts. So he has even overlapped a little bit. We've got even a little more than 24 hours worth of sun in the frame. So this appears to be a good time-lapse video of a full day. It's only one day, of course, but I think that was their goal, is to stay for a solid day. I think they stayed for 2, if I'm not mistaken. And they all did lots of video during the time they were there. So this time-lapse seems to be pretty accurate. The shadows all match the sun that's in the sky that you are viewing. So everything here appears to be in order. There doesn't seem to be anything that's a red flag in this video per se. And one of the things that is interesting about it is, as you just noticed, you do see people walking around in the video. This is what makes me tend to think this was on a motorized. You see that as it progresses, you see that people are going about their business as this camera is recording. So again, this does look like a very good and legitimate bit of time-lapse footage of this phenomenon. The sun in Antarctica, where they were in 24 hours, going fully around them, producing the shadows we would expect. As they mentioned, it was very hot on their skin. They were easily getting burned on their skin as they stayed outside, so they had to limit their time of exposure in the sun, from what I heard from the live streams I watched. So yes, this appears to be a pretty good video. Now, I will say that in my searching for other time-lapse videos of the sun, this is the only one I found. Of all the people that were there, I didn't see any other time-lapse footage of the entire day. Now, it looks like even in this frame, you see there's another camera that looks to be motion tracking the sun. And so there should be some other bit of footage out there of the sun for 24 hours motion tracked. Now, I don't know whose camera that was, but apparently there is someone else who got fully motion tracked camera footage of the entire 24 hours of the day of the sun. So anyway, all this just to say, this looks like a pretty good video, pretty legitimate. Don't see any major problems here with this that I can see. So as you could see from that footage, the overall consensus was there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. that all of the people that participated and went on the trip all confirmed that they saw the 24-hour sun. For as long as they were there, they were in sunlight, and that they all verified that it occurred and was real as far as their experience. So now I'm going to show you some of the responses just from the Flat Earth guys, because to me that was pretty profound to watch the Flat Earth guys try to explain this away, or at least admit that it was this way and that this does fit with the globe model of the Earth. I believe it was very hard for them to experience this, and probably not the most fun thing that they've ever done. But let's take a look at some of their responses. And this was in a live stream done on the 14th of December. So it was the day they went. And you can see here, this is Will Duffy. It starts with Will Duffy. He's the pastor that sponsored the flight and got it all organized to go. And just listen a little bit to what each of these guys say.
Turn it over to the Flat Earther. So that's all the Globers. So we'll now turn it over to the Flat Earthers. Who would like to go first? Lise? Jaron? All right. So obviously you all know Jaron Campanella of Jaronism, one of the most popular Flat Earth YouTube channels.
Not for long. All right, guys. Sometimes you are wrong in life. And I thought that there was no 24-hour sun. In fact, I was pretty sure of it. But I respect Will Duffy for being a stand-up guy, at least in the way that he kept saying it was true. I kept saying it wasn't. He said, "You want to go? I'll take you." And he brought me here, and it's a fact. The sun does circle you in the south. So what does that mean? You guys are going to have to figure that out yourself. Don't listen to my beliefs or my opinion. It shouldn't matter to you. But at least you should be able to accept that the sun does exactly what these guys said as far as circles the southern continent. So that's about it. I realize that I'll be called a shill for just saying that. And you know what? If you're a shill for being honest, so be it. I honestly believe there was no 24-hour sun. I honestly now believe there is. That's it. If you want to call me a shill, so be it. I'll live to see another day, and at least I know that I got to see it. And I just want to say thanks to Will through everything. You've been at least kind to me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the trip. If you guys want to, my whole master plan worked for getting a free trip out here and to, but no, it's amazing. I can't even tell you. Flying in was the best thing I've ever seen. So looking around, best thing I've ever seen. So, how could I give him a hard time for bringing me down here? $35,000 trip. It's been incredible. It will continue to be incredible. We've got some tracking mounts swinging around, seeing the sun. What does it mean? You have to figure it out. To me, it means that the AE map no longer works, but that doesn't mean that I'm right. It means that it could work. You'll have to figure out how, because I've tried and I struggle with it. The other thing is a 24-hour moon. If that happens, you got another thing we got to worry about. So it seems like the moon does circle here as well. So you start thinking about that as well. It doesn't mean that AE map is over, flat Earth is over. Maybe somebody's got the answer. I don't have that answer right now. So just want to say thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Yep.
So Jaron has been so amazing to have with us. He is so fun in person. So I'm really glad we had the opportunity to be together on this trip. So, all right, who's up? Lise. All right, Lisbeth is up next. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Lise. It is really bright standing right here directly. But we're here in Antarctica. Like Will said, we are in an off-site camp of Union Glacier. They have been heavily accommodating, even from the point that we were in Punta Arenas. Shout out to all of our liaisons that were there, helping us out through everything, being able to answer questions. I am the only Spanish speaker on the trip, so it's been a pleasure actually being able to translate for everybody and having those lost in translation moments. And I think aside from just like the beautiful views, like this is absolutely breathtaking. Like it really is. There's nothing else like it. If there was ever any doubt, not that I ever have, but if there was any doubt about a creator, I mean, this would put it to rest. There's no way that we're not in a created place. I don't care what anybody says. Say it in the comments. I won't read them anyway. But yeah, no, thanks to Will. You know, obviously, as you guys know, I'm the golden ticket winner. It was a bumpy ride in the beginning, but you know, he really pulled through. And in between all of this, I've been able to grow a beautiful friendship with Austin and with Jaron. And, you know, even with the globe side, like it's been awesome. You know, Dave's been teaching me more about the optics and the camera, you know, critical think's been really cool. Even Tune, you know, and him and I, as you know, had some beef, but, you know, we were able to put it to rest, because I think what matters the most is putting our egos aside. I've seen a lot of vitriol, a lot of crashing out on both sides. And it's just like, are we here for truth, or are we here to hold on to a narrative and to ego? Now, with all that being said, that's not saying like a 24-hour sun proves a globe model. There's still definitely things that, you know, are in question, like the lack of sphericity of the earth and so many other things. But hey, we're here, we're working together. And I think the most important part is just this human experience all together. So I give a big shout out to just like everybody here. The guys have been super awesome. And yeah, shout out to AL Lee, and, you know, shout out to God's creation for allowing us to be here and experience this. Love you all.
Awesome. So yeah, Lisa's been great. She's right. We're really bonding out here. There's just magic when you get people together in person, face to face, get to, you know, really have meaningful conversations, look each other in the eyes. It's just great. So we just hit over 4,000 people watching live. And with that, I'll turn it over to Austin Whitsitt, who you all know runs the channel Whitsitt Gets It.
What's up? So I'm actually, they're holding guns on the other side of this camera. This is all a stage. No, yeah, so I mean, I was one of the people that said I definitely didn't think that there was a 24-hour sun. We obviously haven't actually seen the sun for 24 hours, but it is doing what they said it would do very clearly. And it is still dancing around high in the sky. So obviously we're documenting it. But yeah, you know, I said what I feel about this the whole time. Truth doesn't fear investigation. I think that we're truly trying to figure out the truth. Obviously, some people think that what we were told is the truth. I don't think that, but I do think that people need to be honest and humble and be like, whoa, you know, we were wrong. If something doesn't just pop out of the blue and all of a sudden the sun sets or something, when we claim that there was no sun or 24-hour sun. So yeah, and I know a lot of people want to know what my take is in terms of how does it work and stuff. And I will, like a quick teaser, I've seen a physical demonstration that could show this working, but I do think that some of the data we're going to have from this trip may help to clarify if that is actually what's happening. But anyway, long story short, they kind of covered the trip. It's like incredible and beautiful. And when you fly into here, it's just like, words can't even describe it, man. It is crazy, crazy beautiful. Obviously this, you know, for people to say that we can't go here and all these people are working here, we obviously never actually claimed that people couldn't go here. We just say you can't freely and privately explore it. But I will say this, when we flow over it, I'd be like, you probably don't want to really do that, you know. So it looks extremely dangerous. It's beautiful but scary at the same time. And so, you know, they say, look, if you want to go somewhere, we got to survey it and make sure you're not going to fall in and die. And I get it. So yeah, obviously we did know you could go to approved places, but more so the point of this trip is to see if there's 24-hour sun. There clearly is. I won't go on like a big rant about what I think that means. I don't think it falsifies plain earth. I don't think it proves a globe. I think it's a singular data point. I will make one more comment kind of as to like the meta here. I do think that we have some strong personalities that get really intense on the camera, and it has been interesting to kind of be all around each other. I think it's been relatively chill, you know. I think it's been pretty cool. I think it's a testament to the idea that we're all just humans, and whether you know it or not, there was a creator and he made you and all of us. And so that's like this basic level that we should all understand. And when there's not all this hoorah on the internet, that kind of becomes pretty self-evident in person. I think that's cool. So yeah, I think the trip's very cool. I'm appreciative to Will. I didn't think it would really happen, so I kind of just sat back and waited. And here we are. Jaron says it's still getting canceled. So who knows? Maybe it does. But yeah, sure enough, the sun is dancing up in the sky. And they followed through with their word. We are in Antarctica. I can assure you, we tracked it with multiple compasses the entire way. We were going south or just off of south for 4 consecutive hours from Punta Arenas. I can guarantee you that's where we were as well. So yeah, sure enough, we're here. The sun is doing that in the sky. So we'd have to go back to the drawing board to try to address the preponderance of evidence. But I'll stop there. I do appreciate the opportunity. This is beautiful. I probably would have never come taking the risk of if we would see it or not. And yeah, it's something I'll remember forever. So there's that. And one more thing I'll say, everyone should just try and be nice to each other. Okay. Because I'm not even going to read the comments, because I was reading the chat earlier and people talking reckless. So, and that's on both sides. I think everyone should just chill, be like, well, this is pretty like legendary stuff. Like no one's ever actually done this. We have multiple cameras. We have cameras documenting the camera. We have everything you could imagine. This has never been done. We're getting the sunspots. We're getting every different angle you can imagine. It's truly amazing. It's very cool. We're doing a lot of firsts. So yeah, I think we should just kind of all acknowledge that. And then, shout out to Will for making it happen, because it's pretty cool that he actually pulled it off. So thank you.
All
right. So that's the responses that I wanted to show you. You saw there Jaronism, you saw Lisbeth Acosta, and you saw Witsit, Austin Witsit of Witsit Gets It. And, to me, Austin's response there at the end was the most interesting. I think that he had the hardest time with what they experienced, and of course, marrying that with his understanding. In fact, I have, of course, monitored their YouTube accounts since this trip, and Austin Witsit has not posted since that trip. So I don't know if this has affected him in a very negative way or not, but it seems to have had a major impact. I'm waiting to hear from Austin. I want to hear from him and see what he has to say about this in the future. But so far, he has not responded. Now, Jaronism on the other hand, has responded, has done some things since. We'll take a look at some of that in just a minute. But I think you can see from these responses that we looked at that these guys were affected by what they saw. They definitely agreed that they were seeing the opposite of what they wanted to see, which for these flat earthers was to not see a 24-hour sun, but yet they did see it. They were seeing the sun in the sky at every hour of the day. Every time they went outside, they could see it. And as you saw from the time lapse, it seems that that's what they tracked and that's what they saw on their cameras. Again, I will still be looking for more time lapse footage of this event. I think that we deserve more than one video of a full time lapse of the sun for the 24 hours. I think that will come out. I just haven't found it yet. If it's on one of the other guys' channels, I have not found a second one other than the one that we saw that is on the Dave McKeegan channel. We'll see when that comes out if there's anything additional that can be said about this. But for now, I think that's interesting to see those responses and hear from the mouths of these flat earthers that they're admitting that it's not exactly what they wanted to see. So I think we should all take that to heart and be aware that it seems that they were being quite honest with what they saw and what they experienced. Now, I wanted to go further with Jaronism's content because he's one of the flat earth guys that actually has done some content since this trip. He did a live stream on Christmas Eve, so I'm going to pull that up. He did this live stream. I did watch most of it, if not almost all of it. And I was really just interested in his response to the whole thing. How is Jaronism processing this, right? How is he marrying the experience with his, set of beliefs? And it's not that the actual experience and what they saw isn't important. We're going to get to that in just a second, but it is important as to how we process this. There's a lot of people, myself included, that believe in a flat cosmology of the Earth. and have for some time been researching that, exploring it, doing experiments even of our own at some level to figure out what the shape of the Earth is. We all know, for instance, that we are not told the truth by the major organizations that do space exploration or anything that's related to space. And of course, the only way you would be able to really see the shape of the Earth would be from a vantage point in space. So that, of course, brings doubt to our minds. There's so many reasons why, many of us hold these views of a flat Earth cosmology. But I'm interested in Jaron's processing of this because I have watched quite a bit of Jaronism's material, more probably of his than I have watched many others. He's one of the few that has done a completely flat Earth based channel for years. And so I've probably watched more of his content than anyone else's. So that being said, there were just a few segments in this live stream that I thought were pertinent and important for us to hear. So let's go to a couple of those. So be aware, like this segment and a few of the others are going to be related to him and his reactions to people online and what they are saying about this trip that he just went on, and he just recorded himself with his own equipment and experienced himself. And he has, of course, hundreds and thousands probably of people denying what he himself saw and experienced. And so this is, again, a very honest take, and it's very interesting to hear what he is saying about this. So listen with me here.
Just because somebody says something on TikTok, do you realize that anybody can hit their phone and go record? And then they just look in the camera and they can say any bull they want and then upload it. And you guys think this is like this is truth. Did you look at it for a second? 2 seconds? It's disgusting who you guys have become. That you promote, but somebody like Austin from the Melodome, who's been doing observations of the sun, proving it to be a physical item, you instead call that person a sellout and a liar. Somebody doing actual observations you can't handle. That's a liar. But because somebody strokes your ego with stupid nonsense on TikTok, you cheer, you follow along. What a gross group of people we've become. How do you feel comfortable? How does anybody feel like this is the same flat earth group that was here in 2015, 2016, 2017? It is nothing anywhere even close. I used to think that flat earth made you a better person. It makes you a terrible person. Look at Snatchy Keta. Look at Zetetic Warrior. Look what the things that they say, they go around just lying, gaslighting, just causing dissent. RV Truth, piece of garbage. Daniel Pratt, garbage. Banjo, garbage. Garbage people, garbage content, garbage liars. And you guys follow, well, but he's a Christian, Jaron. Banjo's a Christian. Fantastic. Let him keep lying to your face. There was no snowblower pulling the sun around, Banjo. Just because you think your map is true doesn't mean I'm a liar. I reported exactly what I saw. I have footage of exactly what I saw. What do you have but a map that you say, well, I flew from Florida to Chicago, so I know that the A map's right. Oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant. Smart guy. Do you know that there's not one Glober who's ever said the kind of shit to me that I've heard from my own people? From Jake the Asshole, all 5'3", $125, QNFE, P-Brain, Level Earth Observer. These are not good people. They will throw you under the bus in an instant. This is the problem with the internet. My son's birthday was in September? One person from the internet bought my son a gift. And I'm not saying people have to do that. I'm not saying nobody has to do that. But when you look at it and you're like, well, who's that one person? Mick Toon. Now, did I check that gift for a explosive device, and did I thoroughly look through it to make sure it wasn't poison? Yes. Now, because you have to, you got to be skeptical. However, after checking it, it was a legit toy gift. So why is that? Why is it no globe earthers ever called my wife a whore? Why is it that no globe earthers ever called my son a bastard? Why is it no globe earther ever called me a sellout? Or told me, let me read some. I think I deleted some of this stuff because I couldn't stand it. Wanted to read you some of the even worse people say. How about this? Oh, there we go. Just somebody says, Adam Traeger, good guy. Just calls me a liar. Why? Let's see. Yeah. Just video of the guys after the moon landing with me and Austin standing there. Then they put checkerboard floors on. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You're garbage humans. Garbage. Wanted to see if I had that one. I probably deleted it. When I saw some, I just couldn't stand it. I was like, whoa. I don't need to read this. I would never want to read that. But I don't see. I think I did delete it. Oh, here's this guy. All right, so let's read what this guy says. Matthew Turbot. Fat fuck, looks like he hasn't had a woman in years. You are a deviant degenerate, and we know you and your family now. We are going to expose you for your perversion, pal. Said, expose away, clown. You're all pathetic. It's sickening. There are several hundred of us all researching you, Charlie Kirk, Elon Musk, Trump. And when the real history of your sickness is exposed, you're done for. Deviant, degenerate, pedophile, sodomite, abomination. Your days on earth are numbered. Your last breath will put you in a place of terror you will enjoy for eternity. Good luck, you sick f***ing pervert. That's a flat earther. That's a flat earther. Not a globe earther. That's a good God-fearing soul. That's a lover of Jesus Christ. This is what I get to come back to. For what? Telling you the truth. For being honest from day one. This is what I get to read. Sickening. The very first comment on the YouTube video that I just made, this video where you're watching, that I forgot who sent it. Somebody said, pathetic, sick, liar, clown, or whatever. Sickening. Why would anybody feel like that's okay to say? They don't even know me. What are they even talking about? What are they? Where are they getting this from? God, I shouldn't have deleted this. I forgot. Somebody who is a friend, somebody I would consider a friend. She helped me at Flattoberfest. She was like a literal friend. I couldn't take what she was saying today. She accused me of being a liar 7 times, and I kept saying, I'll ask you again, what are you talking about? When did I lie? Oh, I know exactly what's going on. It's as clear as could be. You're still not making sense. When did I lie? It's so obvious what you and Witsit did that you took the sell out of the money, you stupid losers. Nope, still don't get it. No idea what you're talking about. So because we went and said we saw the sun, you're so fucking stupid that you think we lied about it? Problems. You have problems. You're not good people. You have no discernment. You're pathetic. Let me grab one other thing here so I can show you what I'm talking about. But I mean, the thing is, I'm not telling you because I want you to change, because I know it's not going to happen. I won't be here much longer. And the reason is clear. The reason is clear. It's because of who you people have become. Plus, no matter what the shape of the earth is, I will never, ever be a glober. Period. I think the way it's taught is ridiculous. I think the lies that are told are insurmountable. I think the lies of Stephen Hawking and Nat Geo are garbage, on purpose, gaslighting, psyops. I will never be associated with that. ever. As it stands now, the Earth measures flat, level, and stationary, and the sky can only be explained by living on a sphere. Now, you can cry, you can roll around in the dirt and fight it. You can latch on to a Joe Hamby model where we've got a superfluid sky that is a glass dome that's a double mirror, because that's Occam's razor.
So there's Jaron's reaction. And you can see how intense and emotional he gets with it. And I can understand that from the things he's saying people are coming at him with, attacking him with, just for going down on this trip and reporting what he saw. Even the sad part is flat earthers, Christians, are saying horrible things about him. And he is not a Christian, from what I know and have seen online, but he obviously is going to have a terrible taste in his mouth towards Christianity after this because of the way people are treating him. And that's sadder than almost anything else. He even says in the short clip we just saw, he said, "I won't be here much longer." I think he said that a couple different times at least. I think he is probably going to quit if people don't stop doing what they're doing, which is tearing at him and attacking him with horrible comments, mostly flat earthers that are doing it. I bet that Jaronism will probably stop doing his channel if that doesn't change. He also said that he would never be a glober. Now, I think by that, now I've listened to this whole video, so based on the context and the things he talks about, I think that means to him he will never preach the globe model the way that it has always been preached to him, both in school and by scientists and by NASA. He, of course, still has his healthy skepticism of NASA and all the space agencies and all the governments and controllers of the world that give us information about the Earth that seems to be fraudulent. And so, he says, "I will never be a glober." And I think that's what he means by that. Now, whether or not he means he will never believe the Earth is a globe, I'm not sure he means that per se. But he simply means he will never teach the same lies that have been taught to him over his life. That's the way he contextualizes that further on in the video. Then he says in his kind of final statement there, he says, "As it stands, the Earth measures flat and stable, and that the sky, as he sees it, can only be explained by a spherical model," which is interesting. Now, I don't know if he means more things than just the midnight sun in Antarctica that he experienced, or if there's other things he feels that do seem to support a global model or a spherical model based on the movement of things in the sky, perhaps. But in his opinion so far, he still believes in the measurements, the observations that we make on Earth seem to all correspond to a flat model, a flat planar Earth. But then, of course, he acknowledges that this experience, what he saw in Antarctica, the sun in the sky for 24 hours solid, was totally antithetical to the flat Earth model from his understanding of it. So that seems to be where he stands. Now, whether he continues his channel or not seems doubtful based on his response in this video and his reaction to the people that are coming after him now because he is telling the truth of his experience. And as far as I can tell, again, I have examined this and other videos of this trip and of the other participants, and I do not detect any falsity, any lying, or, any shifty behavior, nothing like that. It seems very straightforward. I just don't have any reason to believe that all of this is some kind of nonsensical sham. That doesn't really make much sense at all. But this has surely affected Jaronism in a profound way, and not necessarily the experience, but the reaction of people after this experience. And again, I want to reiterate that Whitsitt seems to have had a similar type of experience. And actually, I think that Austin Whitsitt, has been more affected by the reality of the midnight sun in Antarctica. He seems to have been affected by that because he feels like it does destroy his model, perhaps. But that did seem to affect Austin Whitsitt a lot more than it affected Jaron. Most of Jaron's reaction here, obviously, was because of people that were responding to it. But I hope that gives you a taste of what the people who were there, the flat earthers that went there, how they responded to this. So far, it hasn't been very good from many different angles. Just a lot of bad vibes, a lot of hatred online, and a very difficult thing overall for these guys to deal with. Now I'd like to just kind of go through a few things and give you my opinions on what I've seen from this final experiment and the reactions of people and their experience, the time-lapse footage. How has that affected me? How has it changed or not changed my viewpoints? You know, I wanted to at least address, there's a few things that happened that people were calling out, that mostly flat earthers were calling out, saying this is suspect, this is weird, this is they're tricking us, something's wrong here. The only one of those things that is even slightly credible is that there was a point in the video I showed you, and let me bring that back up, where the participants were coming in front of the camera. Will Duffy had each participant, both Globers and Flat Earthers, come in front of the camera and at least confirm their experience as a testimony of what they saw. But when one person got up, and I'm not sure who it was here, it was this guy here. Let me see. All right, so this is Jonathan Morandi. He ran a lot of the equipment that was there. He did a lot of the recording that was done. He had some cameras running. But this is the segment that a lot of the people keyed in on. And if you can see it, I'll turn off the audio.
Experience. Thank you, Will.
You can see on his jacket there that the pocket pouch there on his left chest is bleeding through some kind of chroma key background. Okay. Now, when they were asked about this, Jonathan responded that he had left a filtering setting for a chroma key on his camera by accident because he used it all the time in his live streams. And so you can see there that it has the letters TFE and a black background. So, of course, the flat earthers went all crazy on this. They said, look, they're keying things. This is all on a green screen. It's not really there. They're not there. This is all faked. But the problem with that is that I would expect to see something different if this was them chroma keying against this background that you see in the film. I would expect to see artifacting around the shoulders and the edges of the face, especially where there's hair. Usually chroma keys don't do that stuff perfectly. So if they were really chroma keying, it I think would be more obvious. And I do believe what Jonathan said about this video, that he had a setting on his camera or whatever computer, however they were processing this or recording it. It seems to be exactly what he said. He left some kind of chroma key thing on, and the specific color on his jacket was matching the key. And so it took it out and it replaced it with some title or something that he uses in his live streams or something like that. So that to me seems like a very plausible explanation for this, whereas a green screen fakery kind of argument does not seem plausible with what we're seeing in the frame here. And you do need to remember that I have a lot of experience with this, both in the video editing world, filmmaking, and of course live streaming, and using all the same equipment that they do to do live streaming and keying and chroma keys and all that kind of garbage. So I'm used to this kind of thing happening all the time. And again, I just do not see this as some kind of fakery or something they were trying to pull over on people. Of course, that would also, by the way, require all of the participants to be lying about it. Okay, so that Again, that's actually so unlikely, based on even the responses we've seen that seem very genuine, very heartfelt, very emotional. That stuff just isn't faked, okay? It's just not faked that well. So again, I believe that this is a non-issue, and there is no evidence that they were truly green screening themselves against the background of Antarctica to try to prove this midnight sun or 24-hour sun. I just don't detect that they were trying to pull anything over on anybody. So of the things that I heard people calling out online, that's really the only one that to me was very suspect, okay, at all. And again, I feel like we've kind of debunked that as a non-issue, really. Now, when I was looking through the footage and examining it myself, I did find two things that I ran across that made me stop and pause and wonder about this. Not thinking that it's some kind of big sham or that they staged this whole thing. That's not at all what I'm thinking. But just two things that made me think twice about this and consider, like, what does it mean? Does it really support a globe model or does it not? So one of the things was actually something that Jeranism said in his live stream on Christmas Eve. So I want to bring that back up. Let me get to that spot.
Roger Kelly, what differences did you notice when the sun was at the north compared to the south? That the day was nicer. The day was nice when the sun was up north, and it got cold and kind of miserable. Now, at the camp, it's because the sun went behind a mountain for 2 hours. And when it does that, obviously, you're in the shade. So you should expect that. But the same thing did happen at the secondary camp. When it was south, it was miserable. It gets kind of like colder, and it just, you're talking about a difference of 35 to like 15 degrees.
So that was the point that was made, and I thought was interesting. That apparently Jaron says that they felt really cold when the sun was in the south versus when the sun was in the north. So that to me is suspect. It's interesting. It just is a data point that should be held in regard and considered when we're trying to either justify a globe model or a not globe model. Because it seems to me that if the sun was hitting you from the south or the north, it shouldn't really have an effect on whether it felt cold or hot. The temperature shouldn't change that much between the two, because the difference, of course, of the distance between you and the sun is almost exactly the same. On a statistical level, it's exactly the same. The small amount of difference based on a global model from the rotation of the Earth to where, when the sun is in the south versus in the north in Antarctica, you shouldn't have that much of a temperature difference. That should not change. It should be a very even, constant temperature. Now, the argument may be that the difference in temperature is caused because of the angle of the sun, being closer to the horizon, perhaps in the south, perhaps, I don't know, diluting the heat projection of the sun through the atmosphere more. And so it makes it feel colder than if it's in the north, because it would be at a higher altitude, at a higher angle in the sky. So it would be at a more perpendicular to the atmosphere. So it essentially would not dilute the heat of the sun as much. I don't know if that's the case. It's probably the argument you're going to hear from a glober. But to me, those differences should not be as projected and pronounced as is being described by Jaron in this video. So that was just a point that I'm taking note of. I'm adding it to my, knowledge base on this topic. They reported that the sun in the north felt much warmer and much nicer than the sun when it was in the south. Now, the other thing to me that was kind of an anomaly that I want to understand better or learn more about had to do with the time-lapse video. So let me pull that back up. Now, in this video, I noticed that the shape of the sun changes quite dramatically. If you notice that, So if you can see, like right here, now at this point in the video, the sun is rather round. You can see that if I take a pen and I trace the sun, it's more or less a circle, like a completely perfect circle. But then as time goes on through the day and the sun gets either at the zenith, like the top of the highest angle, you can see here in the sky, it looks like it's not even an egg, it's like a complete ellipse. This to me is an anomaly that I haven't heard anyone explain, and I can't think of a reason that this would occur with the globe model that they, of course, think has been now proven by them being in Antarctica with this sun going around them for 24 hours. So this was just a point that I noticed that was very strange, and I could not explain it whatsoever. So if we go back and you see as it's between the height or the lowest area, you see now the sun is quite circular again. But then as it gets again lower in the sky towards the horizon, it again seems very ellipse-like, very oval-ish, and not a circle at all. So I don't understand that. It doesn't seem that, you could say it was a perturbation due to the camera lens, because this does seem to be quite a wide angle camera lens, if I'm not mistaken, based on what I'm seeing and the way it moves as the landscape moves through the lens. But again, every time, see how now it's again low in the sky, and see how oblong the sun looks? That's not normal. And to me, usually especially a fisheye or wide angle lens usually has the most deformation around the edges of the screen. So I would expect to see deformation if things were towards the edges of the screen in a wide angle lens format, but not where the sun is, not in the middle of the screen, and not towards the top of the screen necessarily. Now that should maybe perturb more because it's getting closer. So if we go back and move the sun towards its zenith in the sky, and I was a little too high. Now that's getting closer to the limits of the lens when it's up that high in the frame, but when the sun is low in the sky, it's nowhere near the limits of that lens, and a wide angle lens would not deform the sun at all. So to me, that is problematic. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how they would explain it, but it does seem to be a problem. So again, of all the things I saw, those were the only things that gave me pause. Otherwise, I believe that the testimonies were accurate as far as what these people experienced. I just found these anomalies that I could not explain. If the participants, again, they said that the sun was a lot warmer in the northern sky than it was in the southern sky. And then we also see that in this time-lapse footage, the sun really deforms a lot in the sky. And we really don't have a good explanation for that. So other than those anomalies and things that, just seemed weird, and the things that people have come out online saying about these videos, that green screen thing, I don't think is a thing at all. I don't think there's any fraud involved here. Just to get down to brass tacks and what I think about this whole thing, I believe that the people that went were telling us true experience. I don't think there's any reason for us to doubt that, especially when there was so many people that went on this trip. We had 4 flat earth people and a large number of globe people, I guess 12 or so. But all in all, there were enough people to verify this thing from start to finish. And I believe that if there was any real fraud going on, any real lying going on, that I would be able to detect it. And I think you would probably be able to also. But we don't really see that. What we see is, from the globe side, they're cheering it, saying, yeah, we won this battle. And in fact, most of them think they won the war, that this proves that the Earth is a globe once and for all. And then you see from the flat earthers, them having a very hard time with what they saw, trying to figure it out, trying to explain it. And then, of course, getting blowback from their audiences, which is the most horrifying thing of all. It's just a sad, sad thing that Christians will react like this. No matter your beliefs, we have a responsibility as Christians to present in a way that's much better than that. Just to not, I guess my take on this whole thing is that this is the closest thing I've ever seen to an actual experiment in Antarctica on the 24-hour sun, the midnight sun. And it's the best data I've got to say what it's like down there. And from their experience, when they were at this location in Antarctica at this time of year, I think they experienced what they say they experienced. And that is exactly what we saw in the time-lapse footage. They saw the sun go around them in 24 hours and not go below the horizon. So you may ask me, does that change your views on the Earth? And I would have to say something similar to what we heard Jaron say, which is that from every observable thing we can do on Earth, the Earth appears to be flat. From seeing things at distances way further than we should be able to because of the curvature, supposed, of the Earth, from that to the high altitude experiments that have been done with balloons and rockets and planes where nobody sees any curvature whatsoever. And then there's also the things where people have done laser tests across the ground at really low levels, like 1 foot off the ground, and they can shoot a laser 30 miles. That kind of thing just cannot happen on a globe model. But then to see this happen in Antarctica, where there is a 24-hour sun, or at least that was experienced by these people, it has given me pause. What does that mean for a flat Earth model? Can it work with a flat Earth model? Can it work? Or does it really clinch the globe model, the globe cosmology? I personally right now am kind of holding these things and considering them, and I'm not making a judgment call yet. Because, like I said, everything we experience and we test on the Earth makes it appear flat. That can't be faked. That's real. So this has to be reconciled somehow. Now, I will admit that most of the mathematics of the sky work on a globe model, but many of the mathematics of the sky also work on a flat model. Now, the final experiment that we saw, the evidence that they brought forth, is hard to fit into the currently accepted flat Earth model. I will admit that. Even the model that I have held for a long time. So, I am left with a quandary at this point, and we should be in that position. We should say, that's good evidence that they presented. Now let's take it and see what we can do with it. Let's see where it takes us. Because we have a lot of good evidence on our side of the experience and the observation of the Earth from the land, across the land, and across the sea that shows us a flat model. So again, I think that these things should just be held onto and considered. But in the end, we are going to have to take this as evidence, a point of evidence. Now, again, there may be some experiment or data that we get in the future that refutes even what they experienced to some degree. The problem is that we have so little evidence and so little ability to test or observe what goes on in these fringe areas of the Earth that it's hard to take this and, say, well, now 20 different people have been down in Antarctica and showed us 20 different time-lapse footages of the sun that goes perfectly around it. And so it's like we have now one more point of data that helps us figure out the way things are. And apparently, if we were standing with those guys in Antarctica on December 14th of 2024, we would have seen the sun in the sky in the middle of the night. So again, I'm reserving my judgment. I still hold my views that everything I know and see and experience on the earth lends towards a flat plane. And I also acknowledge that they experienced what they experienced on this trip. So we have to at some point reserve judgment until we have more data, until we understand more, until we can explain more. I'm sure people will come up with many explanations for what was experienced in the final experiment, but I probably will also continue to think about this, work on it. How does it fit in with a flat earth type model? Because that's what I experience when I go out into the world and I do experiments. I experience a flat earth. So how does it all work together? I don't know at this point. Will we ever know? Will we ever fully know? Maybe not. And that's okay. But I just want to caution everyone as Christians that we need to respond in a better way than what these flat earth guys have seen since they got back from this trip. Flat earthers cannot do that. Of course, it destroys our credibility to be like that and to lash out at people for simply reporting what they saw. So I encourage you not to take that approach at this point in time. Take the evidence, take the information, and reserve your ideas, reserve your thoughts, put them together, work on it, think about it, and don't react. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope it's given you some information that, saved you from watching hours and hours and hours of videos. At least you got the overview here. So thank you for the time. I appreciate you. And please take to heart the things we've talked about. And I would love to hear any ideas in the comments of what you think this means for flat earth. If you have ideas, if you have thoughts. But what I don't want to hear is that, they staged it and they faked it. I don't think that's plausible, and I don't think it's possible based on what I've seen. Thank you for your time, and God bless.